All right, welcome to my first reaction series. I'm going to be reacting to the latest trailer for Bleach Cour 4 Year Blood War Arc. Let's get into it. Please don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. It really helps me out. I'm a small new channel, and any help goes a long way. But let's get into it. All right, let me set the speed up so we can move normal. I'm going to react to it twice, normal speed, and then I'm going to do it again and break frame by frame at a slower speed. All right, so
あんたは俺が切る。
黒崎君の心は
talking.
そんだなイチゴ。それは世界を切ると同義だぞ。力のすべてを吐き出し尽くして死ね。イチゴ。
This looks amazing already. Oh, number one baby. Sounds so good.
光栄だけど買いかぶりっすよ。
Versus Askin. Kisuke being a troll. I love it.
嘘だろ。
Oh yeah.
ごちゃごちゃうるせえな。一発で頭割れってことだろ。厄介なのが来たな。我を出し抜けるなどと思うな。裏切り者の初代。
Oh, look at that. Urio roasting dish. I love it.
お前の剣が届くなら絶望してくれるなイチゴ。絶望がなんだって。よく知ってるぜ。今まで何度も乗り越えてきたんだからな。
All right.
Bankai!
Oh, look at that. All right, I gotta break this down one more time, frame by frame, at a slower rate with the volume. All right, so I can provide my commentary. Okay, let's go. Let's slow this down. All right, let's make it at a quarter of the rate. All right. So first off the bat, this just looks absolutely stunning. I love the hue of magenta. Orihime blocking the attack. Is that Ichigo's Judicial? Him getting to do it. And and I remember this scene from the manga because Orihime is in love with Ichigo. And she's just so happy that she can finally fight alongside and protect him because Ichigo's, for the most part, always fought alone. He's never really had anybody fighting alongside him. There was that time he and Renji tried to fight Aizen, but that didn't go well for anybody. They got absolutely dog-walked. And so she's really happy that she gets to fight alongside and protect the man that she loves. So that's nice for her. Ichigo's charging in. All right, he's glaring down Yuha. All right, and I just love the detail in his eyes when you can see the flexion of the magenta. Yep, you've got number one playing in the background throughout this whole intro, which I love because I hated how in the first core they try to redo number one. I'm like, no, it works. All right, you see Ichigo just charging in. All right, against the basically torrent of Yuha's Ryatsu. You just see it. All right, he just blasts through it with all of it right here. All right, yep, Ichigo's just pushing giant dice through. At this point in the fight, Ichigo's basically using Yuha as a jump starter so that he can go into Bankai because he can't do it on his own. He needs Yuha's power just to jumpstart his. And so Yuha's not using the Almighty. He's just basically flexing his Ryatsu. All right, and Ichigo's just taking the hits so he can supercharge his Ryatsu. All right, spoilers, by the way, for Year Blood War. Okay, I read the manga. I know everything. All right. Here we cut away back to the basically Quincy Palace where Yuha is and into the Vandenreich. And then we're just cutting next to the fight between Yoruichi and Kisuke. Yoruichi and all her finery, adorable cat assness. And she's just trying to fight Askin. Askin's basically developed an immunity to her power, so she had to basically call on Kisuke for a little bit of extra help because Kisuke gave her some poison, and he also induced a cat transformation, which makes her basically a feral cat. She basically becomes a feral cat where she's got no self-control, well, only Kisuke can, which another reason to be jealous of Kisuke. He's got Yoruichi in her pussy form on deck. And he basically, you see him getting demolished here. And then you see Kenpachi, my goat, just charging in, fighting Gerald, which he basically starts charging up Gerald. And Gerald's and Kenpachi are basically a match made in hell, all right? There's no Zarashi. We're going to see Kenpachi's Bankai. You got Toshiro and Byakuya being like, okay, we're done with these idiots. They're just so unhinged because between Kenpachi and Gerald, there's just like no chill whatsoever. And this fight does concern me a little bit, but we'll see how this plays out. Okay, he's breaking through the ice. All right, we're not seeing a lot of Rukia Renji, but this is it. This is the part I did want to see, okay? We are getting Uryu in his Volstandish form. Listen, I read the manga when it came out like 10 years ago, which is crazy, when Uryu was fighting Hashfault. Okay, that fight pissed the hell out of me because it basically became an Uno reverse card. Okay, Uryu has the shrift A, the antithesis. Hashfault has the B, the balancing. Basically, they can reverse circumstances to ensure things go their way, essentially what their powers are. And it basically became an Uno reverse. I Uno reverse you. You Uno reverse me. it became a back and forth, and we didn't really see a lot of their abilities. And remember, because Uryo's power was hyped up as the one person whose power Yuha couldn't control. He couldn't take away, because when Yuha was trying to regain his strength, he instituted his Ashvalen, which is basically a purge of all impure-blooded Quincy, and Uryo's not a pure-blooded Quincy, so that means he should have died. No, he shouldn't. He survived. And so Yuha basically was concerned about Uryo's power, recruits him to his side, and is like, yeah, you're the one person whose power I can't control, I can't manipulate, I can't force hand. So this basically says, okay, what can Uryu do? And Uryu in the anime, I'm gonna be real with you, fam. He had almost nothing going for him, like just zero. Like in the manga anyway, he showed up basically essentially 4 or 5 times, which is what I love about the 1,000-year Bloodwork adaptation, is that they have essentially basically not only revamped but expanded on scenes, particularly with Uryu, because you think an arc about Quincy's, Uryu would be a lot more prominent in. Fam, he basically had 1.5 fights. His fight with Hashfald and his half a fight with Uryu that the anime expanded on. All right, with Ichigo. That's it. He's got nothing going on. So I'm happy that they're showing more of this, his fight and his Volstead and Dish. We're seeing more of what Uryu can do. I love it. All right, he's a main character in this series. You have to give him his shine. So I'm glad they're doing this. Look at this. Just him and all his refinery. All right, him and his birds. Remember, okay, this shot right here. Let's go back just a little bit right here. Remember, okay, Hashfald is the other half of Yuha. All right, when Yuha sleeps during the night, all right, Hashfald becomes the ruler of the Quincy's. He gains the power of the Almighty. And so this basically means, okay, he is now essentially has Yuha's powers. And during that time frame, he's vulnerable. Now, this means to tell me that Ichigo hasn't arrived to face Yuha yet, because when Ichigo begins the battle with Yuha, that is when Yuha regains his Almighty, all right? Or he doesn't use it in the beginning. We see more of it, him deflecting it, all right? And if you haven't forgotten, remember, Hashfald is a distributor. He can't absorb and control Reishi like most Quincy's can. He can only disperse it. That's why he's able to increase the power of people like, say, Baz B in some circumstances. More Uryu just aura farming like a G. Look at him just like, yeah, I got this. Oh, look at that. All those lasers attacks. And you see he's using Yuha's go back. Hold on. Let's check this back one more time. Back at that panel. Look at that. That is more likely Yuha's Ryatsu, because remember, Hashfald, when Yuha's asleep, is the ruler of the world. He gets access to all the Quincy powers. So that basically lets me believe, yes, he is calling the shots here. He is actually doing shit here. Oh, look at that. All right, he's going to block it. Yuha and his torrent of Black Ryatsu. Yep, he's absorbed the powers of the Soul King and the Soul King's right arm. Ichigo with his bread and butter Getsuga. All right, yep, here it is. And it's going to end with the iconic line, Ichigo going Bankai. He's just slashing through all the Yuha's Ryatsu. Remember, Ichigo can't use Bankai on his own, so he has to use Yuha's powers as a jump start to basically get him going. He can't do it on his own. Yeah. I have to say, still, the animation looks amazing. I love the hue of magenta. It just gives an air of menace that you don't typically see. Yep, Ichigo just final shot right there. Yep. There it is. Absolutely stunning. Look at that. Yeah. So yeah, I gotta say, this is hyping up to be probably the best part of 1,000-Year Blood War adaptation. I know we're also gonna get some expanded scenes with like We Don't Always Love You being adapted at some point, which I'm grateful for. Again, they've really knocked this revival of the franchise, because when Bleach ended like 10 years ago, people were pissed. They hated it. They just thought it was trash. They just ripped on it. And seeing this anime come back 4 years ago, bring back the fandom to the standard that we all know and love, really just puts a smile on my face. It just really does. And I'm just like so happy that we see this. All right. Well, I'm Malik. Please don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. God bless you all. Have a wonderful day.